Luke and welcome to Down from the Attic. With most games that you play, the rules are a structure that all gameplay is hung upon. You can do this in the game, but you can't do that. This happens, you must act that way. Most games will have a structure like this running through them, and it's the core component to any game that you'll play. But today, we're looking at a game where the instructions and rules change constantly. Today, we're looking at Fluxx, the game where rules and goals change with the play of a card. Let's get this thing down and have a look at it. Being a card game, the box for this is dinky. What's included is a deck of 100 cards, 99 black cards and 1 white card. Setup: every player gets 3 black cards and the white card is placed in reaching distance of all players, with the remaining black card shuffled and placed face down. At the very start of Fluxx, the white card outlines the basic rules in play: draw 1 card and play 1 card. Before I talk about the gameplay, I think it's best to talk about the different card types and how they affect the game. First are the keeper cards. These are bordered in green. These have a number of different pictures on them: the eye, the toaster, love, dreams, the rocket, bread. These all seem almost random, and I guess they kind of are. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any logic or reason why these particular items were chosen. Keepers is one half of how you will win this game, which leads us on to goal cards. The goal cards, bordered in pink, have usually a picture of 2 keepers on them, such as toast. If you have the bread and the toaster keepers and this goal card is in play, you win. There's a few different goal cards that have different parameters to win. They all involve keepers and they all have different ways to win. 5 keepers, if you have 5 keepers or more, you win. Doesn't matter which keepers you have, you win. Party snacks. You could have the party keeper and any food item. You win. 10 cards in your hand, not just keepers, just any cards in your hand, and you have more than 10 of them, you win. There's a lot of different ways to win in this game. Action cards, bordered in blue, are one-use only actions that you perform immediately on your turn, and then they go into discard pile. Some of these are so much fun. Rock, paper, scissors showdown. You play rock, paper, scissors and the winner gets the opponent's hand. Exchange keepers. You can swap a keeper an opponent has, and if you're working towards a particular goal. Jackpot allows you to draw 3 extra cards. These are all excellent, and knowing when to play a particular action card can really swing the game for you. And lastly, the rule cards. These are bordered in yellow. Rule cards stay in play until another card replaces them, or a card allows them to be moved off into the discard pile. Rule cards affect all players, and there's some really interesting ones. There's simpler ones like draw 3 or play 3, which affect how many times you draw and play. But there's some real stinkers in here that completely ruin your opponent's strategies, but with them affecting everyone, they also affect you. Cards such as Keeper Limit 2 means that someone who has got 6 keepers ends up sending 4 of them to the discard pile, limiting which goals they can play to win with. Hand limits mean that when you've played how many cards you're allowed to play, you have to choose which of your cards to discard. First play random means that your first play is selected from another player. You have no choice over what card gets played. So those are the different card types. Let's look at gameplay. As mentioned, it starts with everyone getting 3 cards. You draw 1 and you can play 1. The aim is to complete a goal, whether having the correct keepers on a goal card or another parameter to win. First to complete a goal wins the game. From the very first card played, the rules and gameplay is going to shift. Your 3 cards will be a mix of keepers, rules, actions and goals. When you play a keeper, you play it right in front of you, face up, for all players to see, and keepers are important. The more keepers you have, the more chance you have of having a correct combination for a goal card. However, being able to see which keepers your opponent has, and likewise allows you to hold goal cards you know that your opponents could win with, or play cards which make them pick which keepers to keep and which to discard. Each player is constantly screwing over the other in this game, and I absolutely love it. What makes this game so interesting and fun is how the rule and action cards can be combined to create absolutely mind-boggling sets of rules for a turn. Draw 4, play 3, but the inflation rule means that you're adding 1 to every numerical value, so it's draw 5 and play 4. Swap plays for draws means that you can pick up cards at the expense of playing them. there's some real choice here, and certain cards allow you to scrap these rules entirely, so you could be really cruel and let your opponents endure this, only for you to scrap a rule and make things far easier for yourself. There's been some really hilarious rule combos that have had me in stitches. Draw 5, play 2, random play first, and hand limit 0. So effectively, you're playing one card a turn that you want to. And rules like this can make the game last quite a while, and it's so fun when a card is drawn by an opponent that hurts them more than it does you. Games of Fluxx can vary between 5 minutes to half an hour, and this is ultimately down to partly luck in which cards you dealt, but some sly strategy on how to use those cards. Hand limits affect you, but upping the number of cards drawn in a turn gives your opponents more cards and more choices and options to win. It's a subtle balance of trying to improve your odds but not give your opponents an inch.
My copy of Fluxx is battered, and it's because it's been played many times. And this little game, it's been all around the world with me. Whenever I travel, this thing gets flung into my hold all, and me and my brother have played this in plenty of airport departure lounges, even inviting new players to play along. And the reason why? It's a really fun game, and with the instructions and new rules printed on the cards, it's very easy to get new people playing, but it'll take a few games for them to start using those cards and new rules and actions to their benefit.
Fluxx has a ton of variants to it too, each with their own new theming and rules. Monty Python Fluxx, Adventure Time Fluxx, Regular Show Fluxx, Star Fluxx, Zombie Fluxx, and the new Jumanji Fluxx. But the game at its core is more or less the same across them all, but there's a lot of fun to be had exploring the new rules and seeing how these can be combined.
I absolutely recommend Fluxx. It's a fairly cheap game to buy, it's small so it won't take up too much space, and it's a lot of fun. Well, as always, I'm Luke, thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.